The Ministry of Finance says the Securities Commission, or SC, has appointed former Malaysian ambassador to the US and ex-Deputy Finance Minister Datuk Dr Awang Adek as its new executive chairman effective June 1st. It said Awang Adek, who is former Bacho MP and UMNO member, has vast experience in capital markets and Islamic finance, having served as an assistant governor of Bank Negara, former SC board member and former chairman of the Tenaga Nasional, among others. The appointment comes after the resignation of Datuk Syed Zaid Albar, who stepped down just 6 months after his term was extended for a 3-year period. He has helmed the SC for nearly 3 years and 6 months. Sources said it was no surprise that Syed Zaid has decided to quit, given what has happened in the past month. His early exit comes on the heels of a controversial decision by the Attorney General's chambers to withdraw criminal charges against Serba Dinamik Holdings and 4 senior executives for allegedly filing false financial statements with the stock exchange. This left the SC with only the option to issue compound fines against the company and the 4 individuals, including CEO and Group MD Datuk Muhammad Abdul Karim Abdullah. Industry watchers say the case was the biggest corporate fraud by a Bursa-listed company, and the Attorney General's Chamber's decision was questioned by corporate and investor groups. Institutional funds like the EPF and CORP hold substantial stakes in the stock, which has tanked after the problem became public and was last traded at 35 cents. MRT CORP is inviting prospective companies to participate in the Request for Proposal, or RFP, for the MRT3 Circle Line Project Management Consultancy Services Work Package. This is the first tender to be called for the construction of the 51-kilometre line, which received the government's go-ahead on March 4th. According to MRT Corp, the RFP is open to companies with experience in managing at least one railway project in Malaysia or abroad of a minimum aggregate value of 1 billion ringgit. The project should also have at least 2 of 3 elements, which are elevated stations and viaducts, underground stations and bored tunnels, or railway systems. It is open to local companies, while minority foreign participation is allowed through joint ventures or consortiums, where the Malaysian companies hold at least 60% equity. The MRT3 Circle Line is the critical final piece to complete Kuala Lumpur's urban rail network. Its proposed alignment will run along the perimeter of the city and connect to MRT, LRT, KTM and monorail lines through 10 interchange stations. Bursa Malaysia saw its first quarter FY22 net profit drop 44.01% from a year earlier to 67.97 million ringgit on the back of lower operating revenue, primarily caused by a decline in securities trading income. This as the average daily trading volume of securities continued to normalise to pre-pandemic levels. Meanwhile, quarterly revenue fell 28.83% to 165.3 million ringgit. Looking ahead, Bursa CEO Datuk Muhammad Umar Swift anticipates more trading opportunities for investors due to movements in crude palm oil prices, interest rate policies and the benchmark FBM KLCI amid the reopening of the economy and international borders. To ensure the interest of global investors is sustained, he said the Bursa operator will continue to enhance the attractiveness of listed issuers through initiatives such as the PLC Transformation Programme. Further, and in line with the sustainable and responsible investment and environmental social governance agendas, he said the exchange will continue to deliver new product and service offerings, as well as the new voluntary carbon trading platform, which will enhance the breadth and depth of the ecosystem. Bursa shares settled 0.29% higher at 6 ringgit 95 for a market capitalisation of 5.62 billion ringgit. Fraser and Eve Holdings, or FNN, will be increasing the prices of its food and beverage products as global commodity costs rise amid the Russia-Ukraine war. CEO Lim Yu-ho told the press during a briefing today that the increase in global commodity prices added an additional 200 million ringgit in cost of goods sold in the first half of FY22. He said prices will definitely have to be increased, but when the hike will be implemented, as well as the quantum, will depend on the commodity price trend. Meanwhile, the current weakening of the ringgit against the US dollar has had quite an impact on the group. Lim expressed hope that the Thai baht will gain value, so the conversion of the currency to the ringgit would help the Thai-owned beverage giant a little bit. Then again, he said there is FNN's export business, and it provides partial hedge to its foreign exchange exposure. At the close, FNN shares traded 0.87% lower at 22 ringgit 80 cent for a market capitalization of 8.36 billion ringgit. DIGI.com, the country's third-largest mobile operator, announced that its CEO, Alban Murty, will be taking a temporary leave of absence effective immediately due to family health reasons and is expected to return in the second half of this year. During his absence, DIGI Chief Marketing Officer Pravin Rajan will assume the CEO-related duties and responsibilities on an acting basis. In a filing with Bursa Malaysia today, DIGI said Murty remains active in his role in the corporate exercise pertaining to the proposed merger of DIGI and Celcom Axiata and will continue to be available to the management and board of directors during this time. Murty, 49, assumed his current role in 2015. DIGI shares closed 0.78% higher at 3 ringgit 86 today, valuing the group at 30.01 billion ringgit.